We're back with another discussion video, and as always, I'm joined once again by James Beard. Thank you for taking the time.
Good to be here. I'm on the road. You can see
that. So, I don't know if you've heard, but over the summer, New Japan's actually going to be doing part of the qualifiers for G1 Climax in either Long Beach or Los Angeles, in that area.
I haven't actually heard about it. I don't keep up with the other organizations a whole lot, but I'm not surprised that they're trying to do some things over here in the States. They've been wanting to do that for a long time, so it's not shocking to me.
Well, are you surprised that it's taken them this long, or do you think that right now is the best time for them to do it?
Well, I mean, they've had some pretty good exposure over here through Access, and they've got a fairly good following, and it's not, I think it's probably a logical step for them if they want to expand. I've got mixed feelings about it, to be honest with you. The problem in the wrestling business a lot of times is you get caught up thinking that you've got this really wide fan base, and you're really only listening to it. It's kind of like social media. There's really only a small amount of people that's actually listening to you or watching you and that kind of thing. So, you might be fooling yourself a little bit to think that you can just step right in and all of a sudden take over everything. Because New Japan has a great following with what I would call the smart mark crowd, that kind of thing. But the average wrestling fan doesn't know that much about it, and that might be a little bit of an overstep for them. But we'll see. They may catch on and be okay. If they do that, they're going to have to feature a lot more gaijin for American and North American wrestlers. They're going to have to push them. Otherwise, I don't think it'll do as well.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I actually agree completely that a lot of the a lot of the people that don't have access, who may see wrestling and be intrigued, may not be able to, the Japanese style may not catch on with them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think it's more than just the style. I think their style is okay. In fact, I enjoy it a lot more than I do what I typically see here in the States in a lot of cases. But I think the realization that people have to come to that when we're on social media, it's like advertising for an event that you're promoting or something, and then you promote it on Facebook, and basically you're only promoting to your friends and the people that already know about it. So you got to get a wider audience than that if you're going to really do any good here in the States. And I think that it's real easy to think that because you're really, really popular with the insider type crowd, that the general public is going to buy into you, and that might be a little tougher nut to crack than they think. And they're going to get some opposition too. I mean, if they start making too many inroads in the United States, Vince is going to do something to counteract that. So, he's already made some steps about taking some of their top talent away earlier, and there's no telling what he might do if he feels like he's got being threatened a little bit. Personally, I think competition would be better for him, but that's not how he looks at things. So you never know.
I mean, you must have read my mind, because I was just about to ask about Vince. But do you think, I know, if I remember correctly, I think they're only planning to do 2 shows over the summer in the States. The rest is going to be in Japan. But do you think if those 2 shows are successful that they could, maybe, add a couple more and then slowly but surely, become a stable number 2 to Vince?
Well, if they take their time and make the right steps and they use the right people, and who knows? They may catch on. Like I said, I think in order to make any inroads here and to really compete with WWE on that level, if that's what they're trying to do, then they're going to have to probably push more than just the Japanese talent. They're going to have to find they've got some good American and North American talent over there already, but that's something they're going to have to really stress, because I don't think that the general wrestling public is going to buy into a strictly Japanese type company, and it's going to be, at least I think it's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
I'm saying that from a guy that enjoys the Japanese style of wrestling probably much more than I have over here. I just got back from there about a week ago,
mm-hmm.
and I really like the fans. I like the way they treat our product. And Japan means a lot to me in my career, but it's a different ballgame over here.
Yeah. Well, since you brought it up, what was it like being back in Japan after so long?
It was great. We only did one show, and it was, it was a smaller venue, and it was sold out, and it was fun, and I got to see a lot of people that hadn't seen in a long time, and got to work in front of some good fans. They were really hot. It was a lot more vocal than I remember being when I was working over there regularly before, back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
That was a little bit of a surprise, and a younger crowd, actually. I expected an over crowd for the NWA there, but it was really a very young crowd.
Mm-hmm.
They really got into it. They were chanting NWA, and they were just really enjoying what we were doing. And we didn't really do the whole show. We actually had only 2 matches on the card, and 2 times, and that they waited through some other matches to see that, and they were really responding well. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. And it's always good to be back over there, and hopefully to go back again before too long.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. Another question is, as far as casual fans not really accepting an old Japanese product, do you think that has anything to do with how international stars have been booked by American companies, specifically Vince?
Well, to some degree. The typical way is, they push some guys over there. They always have in New Japan, and Bobbinsburg too, when they do hot, when they're working, and they've always had some top guys over there from the United States and England and Canada and other places, Mexico. But there was always kind of a glass ceiling there for guys like that. They may push you to the top, but they wouldn't keep you there for very long. And typically they wouldn't. There were only a few exceptions to that rule. And for the most part, they'll have to have a different mindset if they do that over here, I think.
Yeah, because I know as far as well, also, I don't know if the mentality has changed over here, booking talent that are based in Japan from how it was in the 80s, because I feel like, just thinking about, our normal topic, that being world class, and how Kabuki was in world class, I feel like Kabuki was booked more as an attraction.
Right. Yeah, it's a different game now, a different style. New Japan has gotten a little bit away from what they were known for, the strong style. They still do a lot of that, but they've adapted a more cruiserweight type style last couple. Honestly, I think that I think in order to compete, if you're going to really try to compete on the level with Vince and WWE, you have to do something a little bit different from that. And maybe I'm not making any predictions, but my gut feeling is that they would have to go back to the more traditional style that New Japan presented to really make an inroad.
Mm-hmm. Sort of like how TNA was before they started to be too much Vince-like.
Well, TNA is a frustrating thing. I mean, it was mishandled for most of its existence, and I don't know what's going to happen now. I know Jeff and Dutch are back there, and they're probably going to try to rework some things and change some things there, and hopefully they will. But, that's been really pretty much a disaster, the way it's been run and the way it was promoted and the way the talent was used in that organization. And you can't say that about New Japan. New Japan's been successful. That they're different ball games. But yeah, either way, you've got to present an alternative, something different, and something that catches the eye of the more traditional fan, I think, in order to make some inroads.
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I brought up TNA, partially because they used to be considered the alternative, and the other thing was that they, for a time, worked with New Japan.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is they never really were an alternative. They were more like a cheap copy. And I mean, there were some in the beginnings when Jerry Jarrett was involved in it, and I think they were probably headed that way. But then things went drastically the other direction, and they never did get their footing again. There was just one misstep after another. So, I don't think they were ever really truly an alternative to WWE. And I don't think, and to be honest with you, I'm not real sure anybody is right now that has any kind of real prominent role in the business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we would like to be, but we don't have the media exposure that we need for that. And, our style catches on and does very well on the level that we're working in places that we go. But to get that exposed to a wider audience, it's that's the hard part. And I think it's going to take for somebody to really make any kind of dent in the viewership or the ownership of the wrestling business in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, now I have a two-part question, because New Japan has had, from what I understand, they've had a long-standing relationship with CMLL down in Mexico.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, Michael. Look, they have a long-standing relationship with who?
CMLL down in Mexico?
Oh, yes, yeah, they have, and that's not unusual in Japan either. When I worked there, we had a relationship with one of the Mexican companies also, and the style is somewhat similar to what New Japan is doing right now. The lucha, kind of the mix between lucha and strong style.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's pretty popular, and but the problem is that I think that wears on people pretty quickly. I think what you don't tell the story so much. You're just doing the matches, and I'll be honest with you. I watch lucha and I appreciate it and all that, but I don't understand it, and I think that's one of the problems that you run into in that style. The normal person didn't quite get the point.
Yeah.
And whereas traditional wrestling, you really have a point, and you make it, and I think that's the one thing that's missing in trying to establish an alternative to anyone.
Speaking of CMLL, I heard the story about the Ultimo Dragon and how he started, I want to say in New Japan, before they sent him to Mexico for seasoning or whatever the case may have been. I'm not necessarily going to ask. Well, I know I've asked you about Ultimo Dragon previously, but do you think doing something like that still works now, or do you think that that's not like something that still is possible because of how much the business has changed?
You're talking about sending someone to season in another place? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like learning a different style, coming back and meshing that with the other style.
That was typically the way things worked with the relationship between the United States territories and Japanese companies over there, especially New Japan and All Japan, which is Bob's company. They would get a young boy to a certain point where he was ready to maybe start in the ring, and then send him over here to learn the American style and learn how to adapt to different things. And some of those guys would learn that and then go back over there and become pretty popular in Japan. Some of them stayed here and worked here. Asai he went to Mexico, and he adapted to that style, and he actually became a big name over there. And then he went back to Japan. I worked with him when he came back, and he was very open, and he was doing the same kinds of things that Eddie Guerrero and Juan and Malenko and those kind of guys were doing. They would do a lot of they were kind of incorporating lucha style, mixing it with some strong style, and also the thing that they did that, and I've said this before, but the thing that they did that you don't see as much now, or at least you can't identify as easily, is the fact that they would do all those things incorporated into matches that actually had a story behind them, something that made sense that you could follow. They did all the exciting moves, but when you got through, you understood what they were trying to say. And I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of the lucha and a lot of the typical style that you see today in the indies and a lot of even Ring of Honor and some of the others. It's really hard to understand. What are they doing? And I think that's missing, and I think that's where I think that's bogus times when people try to establish an alternative.
Yeah. Well, that's actually where I was going to go next, and that being Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor has had a somewhat successful working agreement with New Japan, as does, of course, Jeff Jarrett, but, Global Force really isn't a thing right now, or as much as it was. Do you think having, those relationships with the American companies would help if New Japan wants to expand to the States?
It keeps fans interested, and they get to see different things and different styles and different personalities than they normally see if you just stay within your own little group. I think that's one of the problems that WWE has right now. They've got a certain amount of guys that they push, and people see them every week on TV several times sometimes. And pretty soon you get to a point to where you've already seen that match. You've already seen that matchup. You've already seen this conflict. There's only so many things you can do, and when they build a guy to a certain point, they want him on TV every week, and they actually burn out to a certain degree. I think people just get tired of it, and so having that exchange and that interaction with a different group and different style, sometimes that's a good thing for the fans because they get to see something and it kind of refreshes their interest.
I agree, and that's, I forget who said it, but that's what somebody said. It was probably Jim Cornette. It was something like that's why, that's why the territories worked or something.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing about the territory system is that, if you got to a certain point where a guy was overexposed there, then he could go to another territory and basically start all over again and be fresh. And maybe come back to the territory he left at some point. But, unfortunately, we don't have that situation anymore. And when you have the same program on TV every week and the same guys are being featured on TV every week, then fans get a little bit bored and a little bit jaded about that. You have to do something to shake that up. sometimes they don't do a very good job of that.
Yeah, I agree completely. Well, just two more questions, and the first of those questions is, I've heard from, or I read actually, in a book that Antonio Inoki had a habit of, well, there was a rumor going around that Inoki would spread some stories and, do outlandish things, and I guess what I'm trying to ask is, would Inoki have been one to expand or try to expand to the States?
I never actually worked with Inoki. He was he and Baba. That's history. If you go back to how all of that came about over there in Japan, they were actually a part of the same group at one time. And of course, when Inoki formed his group, then he had a little bit different style, and he was from what I saw of him and what I know of him, he was a guy who probably could have been a pretty big star in the United States because of the look and size, and he had the kind of style that I think would have probably fit well enough and adapted well enough over here. I don't know if that's what you're asking or not, but he was I think Inoki had a more, if you compare him and Baba was a kind of an odd duck as far as wrestling goes, an odd body and odd style and a little bit awkward looking and all that kind of thing. Inoki was more traditional. I think he would have probably been a big star in the States if he'd concentrated on that over here. But with the business he built in Japan, there was no need for that. He did all right like he was.
Yeah. And the other question is, it's more of a like a what if question. You had mentioned to me that of the two companies, All Japan and New Japan, Baba was the wealthiest promoter not named McMahon.
Yeah, Baba was that company was the older company, and it's a shame it's not around today, or at least it's not around in the same kind of condition as it was at one time. That company was it was a more traditional wrestling company, and it featured a lot of angles, and it used a lot more gaijin on top, and if you look at the lineup that he had, Stan Hansen and Brody and the Funks and Joel Deaton and Billy Black and Patriot. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. It's almost like an American company in Japan. Baba, it's a shame that company's not still around right now, at least in the kind of shape that it was in at one time. I think there would have been a lot more opportunities for our guys from here to go over there and work. But, I've kind of got away from the question now, I think, but if you're asking about Baba, about his style and his company, it was incredibly popular over there at one time. And, after he died, then things kind of went south.
Yeah. I will say that yes, the company is still in business today.
Yeah, it's still in business. It's really not. It's not much of a competitor in the wrestling landscape as it was back in those days. New Japan pretty much dominates it. There's a lot of smaller groups and peripheral groups over there that are still working, but they're not. They're nowhere near what it used to be. The economy got bad over there in the 90s. Things started going downhill, and they just never really did recover to that point again.
Yeah.
When I was working over there, when I first started working there, it was a whole different ball game than it is now. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's a shame, but it's just the way things go.
Well, with the style that you described, do you think that if Bubba wanted to, he could have tested the waters to expand into the States, even during the territory?
Bubba, no, I don't think he even wanted to. He had the best of both worlds. I mean, he had some of the top guys in the United States over there that he could use at any time. The folks were helping him boogie and he also had that huge audience in Japan that he was highly respected there. So there was no reason for him to do that. And back in those days, they had a different mindset about it, like taking over territories and other areas and that kind of thing. WWE tried to go into Japan several times, but without a partner, it was hard to do. When I worked for them over there, I worked with them over there with SWS. That was the whole goal for me to get into Japan. But, that's a tough nut to crack, and it would be just as tough for them over here as it is for someone to go over there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever felt the need to do that. He had too many good connections over here. He was pretty much part of the NWA the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So it probably wouldn't have looked very good if he tried to come in.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's true. So it probably wouldn't have looked very well for him if he tried to come in.
No, it wouldn't have. And he had a lot of resistance back then because during those times, when Bobby was most popular, the church, for the most part, was still going pretty strong. Toward the end, it changed, but.
Mm-hmm.
There was just no need for him to come over here. I don't think he ever felt. I don't know that for a fact, but I don't think he ever felt the need to do that.
Yeah. Well, now since I haven't in a while, I'll give you the opportunity if you have any, shows or anything you want to, any appearances or anything like that you want to, build up or hype. I'll give you the floor.
Well, I'm not doing a whole lot this month. I've got to see later on in the month, and then I'm going down to San Antonio, and I'm doing a 2-day clinic down there for Rudy Gonzalez, along with Les Thatcher and Tom Pritchard. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it'll be good to work with those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then April, of course, I've got I got a couple of things later on in the month, and then in Tennessee and another area, and then Arkansas, and then May, of course, is Cauliflower Alley, and I'm actually doing a seminar at Cauliflower Alley. I think it's on May 1st. I'm not sure what day the seminar is, but it's during the reunion.
Sounds good. Sounds like you have a busy couple months.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So as for you, the listener, if you like the video, let me know down in the comment section below. And if you have any memories of Japanese wrestling and want to share your opinion on if New Japan would be successful coming into the States, let me know down in the comment section. Because as always, feedback is more than welcomed and appreciated. And before we go, I want to thank James Beard again for joining me once again.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Michael.
So for you, let me know, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here, Wrestling Express.